we're filming outside again because Britain is currently having a heatwave and my attic bedroom is a furnace currently. Anyway, topic. Discrimination is treating somebody differently based on their membership or perceived membership of a certain group. Calling a straight boy a homophobic slur because he likes show tunes is still homophobia. Targeted screenings of Hindu men as potential terrorists because they're brown is still Islamophobia. In that same vein, trans men are still often the targets of misogyny. Transmisogyny is a term that specifically refers to the very particular intersection of transphobia and misogyny experienced by trans women and trans feminine non-binary people. As I think I've mentioned previously on this channel, trans women experience a particularly lethal combination of discrimination that is very rarely experienced by trans men. And I do not use lethal lightly. The reactive aggression from cisgender men experienced when they find out that the woman that they just hit on was secretly a man, or even that the trans woman that they've been knowingly dating for a long time failed to hide her transness in front of their peers, can literally end a person's life. As a middle-class, white, trans man, lethal transphobia does not hold any kind of overt knife to my throat. Transmisogyny is not the term for what I experience, although it is a bit of a lexical gap. I do wish there was a term for whatever this particular strange beast is. The misogyny that I experience tends to fall into two main groups. First off, strangers who look at me, just assume I'm a woman, treat me like a woman, and the way that they treat women is shitty. It's your common garden misogyny, just with a nice spicy side order of getting misgendered. For example, the man who saw the most obvious of my tattoos, that would be this one, and decided to tell me that he didn't approve of tattoos on women and that I'd be a lot more attractive without it. I mean, there's so much wrong with that statement, I don't even know where to start. Don't make uninvited comments about strangers' bodies. Women can do whatever they like to their bodies, and being attractive to you is not a priority. And also, I'm a guy, so get fucked. These kinds of incidents, and there have been many, although far more common earlier in my transition, are really very jarring and upsetting to navigate. It feels like whichever angle I approach that bullshit from frames the conversation, and either direction just doesn't feel right. If I open with correcting them on my gender, I feel like I'm being there like, oh yeah, that's a perfectly valid point, it just doesn't apply to me, which it isn't. Whereas if I instead go into, that's misogynistic nonsense, there's this odd creeping feeling of pretending to be a woman to make a point, even if I do then correct them, I know that isn't what's happening, but it still feels gross. The second kind of misogyny that I get is from people who do know that I'm trans, but very obviously still think of me as a woman but are too polite or too scared of HR to overtly say so. That is most similar to the kinds of nonsense that masculine and overtly opinionated women commonly get in workplaces. I've felt this very, very keenly in previous jobs. There is a cynical but true adage that actions considered bossy and abrasive from women are considered displaying good leadership skills from men. I have a very forthright personality. I have to work incredibly hard to not be that guy in meetings that just doesn't shut up. And as such, I have to be very self-aware of it, and I'm very aware of the fact that I'm not actually doing that, but I still get accused of it all the time, or used to. The current job's actually pretty good. In past jobs, there has been this needling about being too loud, too abrasive, too opinionated, too much, always by cis men who take up so much more space than me. It has made things really hard, once to the point of me having to actually quit the job because the bullying was making me ill. That kind of thing is bullshit when it's aimed at women who dare to open their mouths, and it's bullshit when it's aimed at trans men as well. So yeah, if you ever hear someone say that trans men don't get misogyny, point them at this video, would you? 'Cause no. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.